Okay. How can I? Let me see. Okay. I don't know. I've never gone live on YouTube. Can anyone hear me?
No, I've never gone live on YouTube. Can anyone
Okay.
hear me? No, I've never gone live.
I can see that I am live. It's funny. I thought I'd be able to see myself, and I cannot, which I find funny. Share screen? No. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to see myself. I just thought I was. But I can't, so that's okay. I can see myself on my phone. Hi guys, welcome. I'm just going to turn my light on because the sun's getting ready to set here in Costa Rica. This is so bizarre. I also can't see who's in here, which is funny. So it just says I don't have access to a bunch of features. Participants. Chat. Okay, I'm just checking everything out. Seeing what I see. Yeah, so I can't see if you're in here. So if you want to say hello in the chat, so I know who's here. We're going to wait a few more minutes to get started. Just so that, yeah, I give people a chance to join in. But if you want to say hello in the chat. Hi, Hannah. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Living out all my YouTube dreams right now. I think that's also part of my release. We can just chit chat, I guess, before we get started. I've been thinking about what my release is right now, which we'll get into in a bit, but definitely some imposter syndrome, some stuff around speaking my truth, speaking what my angels and my guides, the wisdom that they share with me, because they do all the time. I'm very sensitive to the energy around me, whether it's from the planets or higher entities. So I think that that's also part of my release, is just surrendering to that and trusting in myself more. I recently actually gave a Reiki session to a woman here, and it was just so amazingly aligned. So I was teaching that day. I was teaching at a different yoga studio, and then this other yoga studio messaged me and was like, "Hey, any chance you can give a Reiki session later this afternoon?" And I was like, I don't know. I had to think about it because I'm very sensitive to energy. I find even just teaching twice in one day can be a lot on my system, being around that much energy, guiding people. So I was like, I don't know if I want to give this Reiki session. And then Spirit interrupted me and was like, nope, you're giving this Reiki session. And I was like, all right. I trusted it immediately. I was like, okay. And so then I responded and said, yes, I'll do the Reiki session. And so I taught, and then I rushed over to the other studio to give the Reiki session. And it was just this beautiful woman who was traveling here for a wedding. And so I met with her shortly, and then I gave her the session, and I just was flooded with so many messages from her guides and her angels, from her mom who had passed 5 years ago. And it was really affirming for me in my ability to give Reiki energy and receive messages, and in that ability to share the messages that I'm being called here to share. Everything that I shared with her after the session, just landed. At one point, I said to her, I seen you at one point, actually it was when I was sending Reiki, to her upper body, around her shoulders. I was like, I seen you sitting in front of a mirror, in a drag room. I don't know if anybody watches RuPaul's Drag Race, but a mirror in a drag room, almost with like lights everywhere. And you're like sitting there doing your makeup, and your mom is actually standing behind you with like your hands on your shoulders, telling you how proud she is of you. And like just smiling so beautifully behind her and saying like, yes, like use your voice, like do your thing, girl, like you're doing amazing. And when I told her this, when I shared that message with her, she's like, I started doing drag last year. She's like, I sing, I do burlesque. And my mom used to always tell me how proud of me she was whenever I would sing or do stuff like that. And I was just like, wow, like that's incredible. Like it's so incredible. And so there's definitely this piece for me that's surrendering to trust, which is actually like a huge theme. But yeah, I find it really interesting how the surrender piece is really being called on to us from a lot of different places, including the planets, which we're going to get to in a minute. I'm just going to like wait maybe 2 more minutes to see. I think there's only 2 people in here. Again, I'm new to this YouTube thing. I think actually it's Hannah and me because I'm watching this on my phone because I can't see myself. Yeah, I'm just going to go check my Instagram and see if anybody is, or it must be Hope too, because she just shared. Hi, Hope, if you're in here. I love this too for us too, Hannah. Honestly, whoever's supposed to be here is supposed to be here. Hi, Hope. And that's all that matters. And thank you guys for taking me in your stories. I do look like a lobster. Is that's because of the light, isn't it? This orange light. Maybe I should change it to pink so I look like a pink lobster. This is the behind the scenes that nobody asked for, but everybody's getting. And then maybe people are busy. I know a few people messaged me and said they're going to be late. It's always hard with the time change here because now that it's a 3-hour difference for me, it's like late here or early there. But it's okay. Or the other way around, I guess. Early here, late there. So I'll just wait maybe 1 more minute and then we'll get started. And people can join after or watch the replay. I find it so weird that I can't see myself. I might go back to Zoom after this. I've never done the YouTube live. Maybe that's my ego. I like need to be able to see myself. And if I can't, I'm like, where's my mirror? Okay. Also, I know about dead air too. I watch a couple podcasts live, and like when nobody's talking, I'm always so annoyed. I'm like, there's nothing happening. No one's talking. Can you guys hear me okay? I also can't hear anything. I think you can. I had the volume up on my phone for a sec, but I turned it down because I was afraid of that like back and forth. Thank you, Hannah. You know, like when you were a kid and you'd call into the radio station to like talk to Santa Claus, and then you'd have the radio on in the background and it would do that like weird echoey thing. Anybody else? Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Okay, I'll wait till 4:05. I feel like we're on Pura Vida time. Whenever I teach yoga, everyone shows up at least 5 minutes late in Costa Rica, if not 10, which I just find so funny because like in the Western world, like people will literally slam the door in your face. And here we're just like, it's fine. We start 5-10 minutes late. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Okay. So I guess I'll get started. And if anybody else joins, that's cool. So welcome. Welcome to your full moon and lunar eclipse workshop. Full moon in Libra. So, and also, yeah, it's a partial lunar eclipse. So I think I'll talk about the eclipse recap first. We'll talk about the whole energetical recap so far for 2024. And then we'll talk about the eclipses and the eclipse season and how you can work with that energy. And then we'll talk about the mechanics of the eclipse as well. And then also like the full moon, what it means, what are we being asked to do, and all that fun stuff. So the energetical recap, if you aren't already aware, for 2024 is we're really working with healing energy. There's a lot of healing that's happening. It's been centered around Venus and Chiron. So Chiron is the great healer. It's just like an energetical point in the sky. But he's the great healer. And he's driven by, with Venus, he's driven by matters of the heart. So we're really focusing on healing matters of the heart this calendar year. So we're going to talk about like calendar year, which is like what you're used to, January, and then also the astrological year, which is from like March until February. Just sometimes it can get a little confusing when we're talking about those. So we just finished Pisces season. So now we're into astrological year, which is the end of the season, right? Is like the ending. It has all the wisdom of all the signs that came before it. It's this really dreamy energy, but that also is wise. And so knows when it's time to let go of things, to close chapters or close books, to start new ones. And then with Aries season, which is the start of the astrological calendar, which we have only been in now for like a few days, a little bit less than a week, is about the eye, right? It's the first of the calendar, the astrological calendar. It's the first out of the gate. It's this like fiery energy, and it's all very like I, me. It's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn to speak. I'm being seen. This is about me, right? If you know any Aries, they can be fiery and they very much are in their power of self and ego, and which is good. We need power in ourselves, because obviously when we heal ourselves and know ourselves the best is when we can also best support those around us. But if it's imbalanced, then it's not good. Like anything, if it's balanced, it's good. If it's imbalanced, it's not. So we just left Pisces. We're in Aries season, and now we're also in eclipse season. So eclipse season started last night. So the full moon energy and the partial lunar eclipse happened last night around, it depends where you were in the world. If you're in like Eastern Canada, probably around 2-3 a.m. If you were in Costa Rica, it was around 1 a.m. And so what are eclipses? What do they do? My favorite astrologer, Michael Lennox, he uses the phrase, it's like, you know, when you call technical support, like for your laptop or your phone or something, and they're like, have you tried turning it off and on again? Like that's kind of what eclipses are. It's like we're turning it off so that it can shut down, close down everything, like download everything, like get it into our system, and then open it up anew again with like everything is downloaded and integrated into our system. But it's not like we have all these tabs open. It's not like we have this system running in the background that's not serving our needs. It's like we turn it off, we cut off the source, which literally in this sense, we're cutting off the light source and we're going in the dark, we're disconnecting so that we can better integrate everything that we've been learning from the past 6 months. So we have eclipses every 6 months. Just sometimes we can see them and sometimes we can't. And this year we're just blessed with being able to see them. So the past 6 months we've been downloading all this transformative energy. And with the eclipses, we're shutting down our system so that we can integrate it and then come out of eclipse season in a new transformative way with all this energy in our system. And so like eclipses are just like a more powerful full moon and new moon. It's just a greater energy to work with. And it's a really powerful energy to work with. And it's also like this wormhole of trajectory. So once the eclipse season starts, which it just did, it's like we're now in this wormhole, this sort of black space of this trajectory of where we're moving from, shifting from one version of ourselves towards this change, this course, this new life that's waiting for you on the other side of eclipse season. And so we're taking a pause with the eclipses to take a breath, to take a break, to take time and space to integrate. And then the mechanics of it is, so I don't know the exact science, but basically the way that we perceive the sun and the moon from us, the distance of the sun and the distance of the moon from our perception of humans from Earth, they are perfectly the same size in our perception. They appear to be the exact same size. They're not. But because of the way that we see them, it looks perfect, which that's crazy, right? So basically it's whenever it's the Earth and then one of the nodes and the sun are perfectly aligned, that's when an eclipse happens. And nodes, which it's very complicated, I guess, and if try to just go into the reasoning behind it versus the specifics of each of these planets and energies, but the nodes are energies that are before the moon and after the moon. So basically there's a law in physics where if anything is in motion, like an energy is in motion and circling, that there's an energy in front of it and an energy behind it. And so these are the nodes, and we call them the nodes of the moon. And there's the north node and the south node. The north node is in front and represents the future, and the south node is in the back of the moon, which I heard someone today refer to it as the anus of the moon, which I just died laughing. Anyways, so the south node is the past. So they're just vectors of energy that shoot out in front and then behind of a moving object that's in transit. And so every full moon or new moon, there's also a node that's associated with it, and it changes all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean the full moon's always a south node, because we relate full moons to being a release, right? Which we would think about the past, which is the south node. It doesn't always work like that, but this time it is working like that. So this full moon in Libra and this lunar eclipse is associated with the south node. So we are releasing, we're looking at the past, we're visualizing the shadows. We're literally going into the shadow. The shadow is always there, but whenever the eclipse happens, we get to see the shadow in real time. So that's kind of like the eclipses. So there's this wormhole, this trajectory, this amplification. It's basically like full moons and new moons on steroids with the eclipses. So that's kind of the eclipse. We won't go into any more detail. That's the bulk of what you need to grasp for the eclipse. And then moving into the full moon. So this full moon is in Libra, and our sun is in Aries right now, right? We're in the Aries season. So the full moon being in Libra is the 6th sign in the astrological calendar. It's in Libra, which is, so Libra, 6th sign. Libra is the balance of the scale. So the visualization for Libra, or the sign, is scales. And this full moon is, if you're feeling a lot, this full moon has been really intense, sluggish, slow, you're tuned in. That's what's happening. And this full moon in particular, like I said, is with the south node. We're cutting the cord of things that are weighing us down, of holding us back. And in particular, we're cutting the cord around things that hold us back from our true I, like the things that hold us back from our fullest expression of self, right? Because the sun is in Aries, which is the first sign in the astrological calendar, which is the I, and the moon is in Libra, which is the 6th sign, which is like our outer world, the things around us, our community, our interactions with others. And those are kind of polarities. Like there's the I and other, I, other, I, we. And so this energy in particular is asking us to clear out old dynamics, to clear out how you talk to yourself, how you talk to others. We're asking we want to walk forward lighter, letting go of these inner dialogues. We want to stop prioritizing others if it is holding you back from being your truest self. So think about codependent relationships, people pleasing, avoidant tactics. If you're like, I just like don't think I'll really mention that to them because I don't want to get into it, right? But that's actually holding you back, because if you're not actually mentioning it, if you're not actually being like, hey bitch, I didn't like what you said to me, then you're not being your truest self, right? You're holding that energy for them. You're prioritizing their feelings, their needs over your own. So that's really what we're asking. We're surrendering and releasing. We're cutting the cord. We're leaving the old behind, and we're making space for new, for this, yeah. Where am I going with this? For new, with the new moon that's coming in the next full solar eclipse. So the next lunar energy is going to be a new moon in Aries with a full solar eclipse, which is just going to be all about the eye. It's going to be new, exciting opportunities for you. It might mean new streams of income, new opportunities, new ways of healing, new relationships, romantic, or also in your work life or in your family. It might mean great healing. So if you haven't been prioritizing yourself, if perhaps you have found yourself prioritizing the needs of others, then this full moon is asking you to release that and to really look at yourself in the mirror and say, how can I love myself better? If you for some reason find it's the other way around, if you have no problem prioritizing yourself, if you find it really hard to prioritize the needs of others, then maybe this full moon you're being asked to release the other way around. Although for most people it's going to be the first option. This full moon and this cycle, this lunar cycle energy, is also about our connection to karmic releases. So we've been doing like a lot of karmic healing, a lot of like karmic work also in the past 6 months. But it's time to let go of that. Like, it's like you've healed those wounds most likely. Like by this point, like those wounds are starting to cover up, to heal. And so it's like time to let go, like stop bullying yourself, stop holding yourself down and saying, oh, like, I was such a bad person back then when I did this, or I shouldn't have treated this person that way, or like, yeah, you shouldn't have, but you've already most likely healed that, or you've healed it internally at the very least. And so don't play the victim anymore, or don't like weigh yourself down with this negative self-talk, because you've paid your dues, you've paid your karmic dues. And so it's time to let go of those old stories, that old programming, and establish this new identity, this new I in Aries. And if you have any like of the cardinal signs in your chart, so Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Pisces, then and Pisces, then you might be feeling this full moon more fully. So the biggest messages for this full moon release is to trust yourself, to surrender, release, let go of what's holding you back, to embrace change. And like to trust, the big trust piece is that your guides, your angels, the energetic system that rules us can see beyond your current reality. And where you end up after this, even though it might feel really rocky for the next few weeks as we go into, because also we'll get into this a bit, but Mercury is going retro. Mercury is already in his shadow. So if this week in particular, things have been coming up for you with old programming, with things that, because Mercury controls how we think, our communication, how we perceive the world around us. If any of that has been coming up for you lately, like the negative self-talk, maybe you've had miscommunications, maybe you've perceived something one way, but it actually was the other way, and you've kind of like fumbled a bit in that area of your life. It's because Mercury's basically, even though he's in his shadow, we're kind of shining a light on those parts of our life, and he's going to go retrograde soon for 2 weeks, and then those parts are really going to be amplified. So it's about paying attention to it and seeing if you can pay attention without judging, and then maybe shifting how you see that and how you react or respond to when those things start to come up for yourself. So it's an adjustment. It's not like you're not going to be perfect. not gonna be like, oh, that's a Mercury retrograde moment. Like, it's just like, yeah, it might be like, oh, that's a Mercury retrograde moment. Let me sit with it. And then let me see how I'm going to adjust the next time this type of moment comes across my plate. Okay, we're almost done the explanation, and then we're going to close with a meditation, which good. It's 4:20. I'm trying to stay around the 30-minute mark. So just to recap, the sun is in Aries, right? We're in Aries season. It's you. It's about finding that healthy part of the ego, right? We do need a sense of I, how you show up in the rooms that you step into, how you show up in the spaces. Also, how do you protect yourself when you're in different rooms, spaces, situations? How do you protect the ego, right? Like, how do you maintain your distinct self in group settings? How you see yourself, like, outwardly, like how do you see yourself in your spiritual body, in your, you know, in your subtle body, like in your mind and spirit? How is that landing for you? Is there anything you like that's not serving you with that? And then also, how do you see yourself like in the mirror? Like when you look at yourself, how are you talking to yourself, right? And then establishing the intention with this full moon in particular to let go of anything that's not serving you, right? We're trusting the process. We're looking at those unhealthy responses of people pleasing with Libra, like how am I giving away too much of my energy? How am I not setting enough boundaries with the people around me? How am I disappearing, crawling into dark spaces, and not letting my inner light shine? And how can I honor my truest self and what is happening for you right now and what is best for yourself right now in this moment? And also, with everything that's happening with the eclipse season, with Mercury going retrograde, just know and expect potentially last minute changes. Things might come up in the next few weeks, the next 2 weeks in particular, and the next like 3-4 weeks total, like throughout the month of April. Like things might come up, unexpected changes, and like how can you respond, right? Like how can you embrace the change? Again, going back to the universe and your angels and your guides can see where you are outside your current reality. So it might feel really disruptive to your current reality, but can you trust and surrender and know that it's for your greatest good? It's for your highest calling, your karmic dues, your dharmic path. And can you surrender and respond in a way that's not like ripping to holding on to something that is being so loudly called to change? Okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to go through. And so we'll end in a releasing meditation. Should hopefully just be about 10 minutes long. So you can stay as you are. If you're seated, you can stay seated. You can plant your feet on the earth, maybe land your palms down onto your thighs or at heart center. If you're laying down, that's great too. You can let yourself sink into the earth or into your bed or couch, wherever you are, just a little bit more heavy here. And then let's take a few deep breaths together to land. So on your next inhale, drawing air into your nose, down all the way into your belly, filling all the way up. And then exhale to open your mouth and sigh. Let's take 2 more breaths just like that. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale to sigh. Last one. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale to sigh. And then releasing any control around your breath. Pay attention to the sounds in your space, observing, and then see if you can let them fade just a little bit into the background. And then drawing your awareness inward, scanning your system from head to toe, noticing if there's any gripping in your physical body, releasing your feet and your arms, getting a little bit heavier, surrendering maybe the back of your head, letting go of any gripping of the tiny little muscles in and around your eyes, letting your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. And then diving inward, draw your attention towards your mind's eye. You find yourself standing in a long hallway that is filled with mirrors. The mirrors that you find at a carnival. So those fun mirrors, some of them are a little bit wonky. They make you look tall or short, or maybe fat or skinny, or maybe you're not sure where the mirror is in space. You're standing in this long hallway with fun mirrors all the way up and down the sides of it. The mirror is lightly lit with like green light at the top and the bottom of the mirrors, but the path in front of you is dark and the ceiling is dark. But you can see at the very end of this hallway that there is a golden door. And you think you'd like to walk towards this door. So you take one step towards it, except you don't move. You find your feet are stuck in place. You try again, grunting and using all your force, really trying to lift your feet away from the earth. But as much as you try, you cannot budge your feet. And so you look around, you look in the mirrors, and you notice that there are shackles attached to your ankles, like prisoners. And when you observe and investigate a little bit further, you notice that attached to each of these shackles is a long strand of chain reaching all the way behind you in the opposite direction of the door. And so you look into the mirrors of your right and you look into the mirrors of your left behind you, and you see shackled by multiple chains is everything that is holding you back from your truest self. Every relationship, every negative self-talk, every people-pleasing moment, everything that you have been energetically in that has held you back from moving forward towards your truest self. You take a few moments here to observe these things that are shackled to you. You might find that it's past relationships, romantic exes, old bosses, perhaps family members. It could be geographical locations, jobs, just an overarching energy. And they're not all negative things either. You might find some positive things are shackled to you, like opportunities or jobs or relationships or decades of your life that were devoted to a certain thing or person. But whether the things shackled to you are negative or positive, they are holding you in place. and you cannot move forward with them anymore. Sure, you might be able to release one or two of them and take small, weighted steps, but will you move forward into this eclipse season the way you are intended to? The way your angels and guides and energies have laid out for you? And the thing is, you hold the key. You hold the key to releasing these things. In fact, you look down towards your right hand and you open up your hand to see lying in the center of your palm a golden key. The key to releasing all these shackles, all these chains, to letting them go, to leaving them behind you so that you may walk forward into this new season, into this new version, into this transition of you. So take another moment here to observe what is shackled to you. You might take a breath or two to say goodbye, to say thank you for the lessons, to say thank you for the blessings that these energies have been for you. And then when you're ready, you can bend down towards your ankles and slowly, one at a time, using your key, you hold the power to unlock each and every one of those things. Start unlocking, releasing them behind you, one by one, opening and letting go, opening and letting go, opening and letting go. And as you do, as if there was a vacuum behind you, the energies burn up and their ashes get sucked out of the ether, into the ether, sucked out the wormhole behind you. And then you find yourself standing here completely unshackled, light as a feather, nothing holding you back, free to step forward. And you do step forward one footprint at a time, leaving the fun mirrors behind you until you're standing almost in front of the gold door at the end of the hallway, except you're standing in front of a normal mirror. And you turn and stand directly in front of this mirror to one side of the hallway. And you look at yourself, and your reflection looks back at you. And you say to your reflection, I love you. And you keep saying it over and over again. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you say it over and over and over again. And suddenly your reflection looks back at you and says, I love you too. And you smile at yourself, grateful for the release and the surrender, to feel lighter, to be able to step forward onto this new path where such exciting opportunities await for you. With that gold key still in your hand, you stick it into your pocket and you stand in front of the gold door, waiting and knowing that you will open it when it's time. Returning to it at our next lunar energy phase with the new moon in Aries, when you will step fully into yourself. You slowly start to let this vision go, returning to your body in this moment, in this space. You might lengthen your inhales and exhales as you return to your physical body, inviting your inhale through your nose. Maybe you exhale to sigh. 2 more just like that. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale to sigh. Last one, deep inhale through your nose. Exhale, let it go. Releasing all forms of visualization and meditation. You might blink open the windows of your eyes, coming back into this space. And that is the end of your full moon workshop. Oh, wait, no, there is one more thing. I drew cards for you, which I don't know if there's time to go through them. Maybe I'll just go through the angel card. So the angel card that I drew for you, which was to cement this whole visualization and workshop, is share your voice. So this is the card that came through to you, and I will just quickly read what the card says. So share your voice, come out of the cave, persecution, expression. You are being called to share your voice, perhaps by speaking up in a relationship or through writing, speaking, singing, or some other form of creative expression. We each hold a truth deep within us that longs to be expressed. Sculpted for lifetimes, the voice of your soul is like no other. It carries with it wisdom that can only be gained through soul history and growth. By remembering, tapping into, and expressing this unique tone, we not only heal ourselves, we also heal the planet at large. When you share your voice, you unlock something in the universe and call a missing piece of you home. Your individual voice is the most powerful sound current on the planet. If you have kept your soul's voice silenced or held back, chanting or singing could be truly life-changing for you. As we shed the layers of our personality and start letting our unique soul speak through us, we discover that we actually have a very clear message that longs to be shared. The more we speak it, the clearer it gets. There has never been a better time in history than right now to rise up, speak your truth, and share your soul's voice. If you feel fearful, know that you are not alone and that the world needs your unique tone in order to harmonize. As we each rise up to share our song, we make it easier for the next person to do the same. Express yourself, share your voice, speak to those who can hear you. So that was your message from your angels, which I think pairs perfectly with the where we're going energy. So this might be like you're being called to do this, and you might examine what you're releasing in order to get to this. Yeah, but this is coming. This is what your angels and guides are asking from you. And if you want to continue to work with this really powerful energy, I would encourage you to journal all of the things that you might have seen in the visualization. So anything that you're releasing and surrendering, write them down tonight on a piece of paper. If you want to take it even further, you might burn up that piece of paper. Because we're working with Aries and fiery energy as well. You might burn it up to really surrender and release. And then if you want to take it even further, you might bury those ashes into like a plant or something, and then you might water them and let the air get to them so that you're working with all elements: earth, fire, water, and wind or air. Yeah, but that's it. And if you're catching the replay, know that you can work with this energy at any time. Like obviously it's designed for this full moon and these next few days. But if you're tuning in like a week from now, you can still work with this energy. It's always available to you. Yeah, and that's it. I thank you so much for joining me for my first YouTube live. And I'll catch you on April 8th for the full moon, the new moon, and the total solar eclipse, which will all be all about manifestations and stepping into the power of you. I know this is kind of delayed, so I'm just going to say on in case anyone wants to say goodbye. But thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure to share this energy with you. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Thanks, Hope.